Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's Drama Free Friday. Welcome to my studio on Drama Free Friday. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing great. It is a beautiful day here where I live. Lots of sunshine and it's wonderful. Although it did get cold again for some unknown reason. So, hello. Hi, Dorothy, Tia. Dorothy's on the front row again. Good for you. Hello, Pekka and Patricia. Hi, Becky. Hi, Shelly. Carol TMT. Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. Oh, I'm going to guess that X-Y-L-I-A. Zyla? Zyla? You'll have to tell me. Hi, Annette. Hi, Annette. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. So sorry to hear that. Beautiful in the UK as well. Good. Hello, Kathy. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm doing great. Yeah, so we're just hanging out for a minute, giving everybody a chance to kind of wander in. And then we'll... Xylia. Okay. Thank you for that. I really appreciate when you give me a phonetic spelling or phonetic pronunciation. Hello, Kate from the Netherlands. Welcome. Hi, Josie. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Judith. Hey, Dawn. You've been MIA. Well, I'm glad you're back, Dawn. Hi, Ina. Hello, Jane. Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody. Linda McAllister gets here. Well, she always does her phonetic thing for me, or she did, of Linda. Oh, there she is. Here I am talking about her. Linda McAllister. Hi, Patricia. Hi, let's see, Judah. Yep, see, there's Linda. Everybody knows Linda's name now. Talk about her and she shows up, right? So I'm just gonna have a little tankard of tea with you guys for a minute. Did I get the computer fixed again? Well, it was the audio that was the problem, and we're working on it today. So you guys are hearing me okay where you are, right? It's not the without boring you with a lot of details. It's an issue with the classroom audio. Yeah, I got the crud shirt on. Back in the crud crap shirt again because it got cool and because we're doing messy stuff today. I know, Josie, illegal fluids are on the table and I accidentally set it down. Race isn't here, is he? Race isn't here. Tell me he's not here. Please tell me he's not here. Yeah, so, okay, thanks, Dorothy. So it's good to have you guys joining me today. We're going to play with Race is Not Here. When he is, he will make his presence known more than likely. That's right, Linda. Inspiring fluids, not illegal fluids. Inspiring fluids. That's right. So it's great to have you all join me today on a Drama Free Friday here in my studio, because here's the thing. If there's drama going on in the world, which there always is, and some days way more than other days, we're just going to take a break and just get away from it for a little bit. Does that sound good? I hope it sounds good to you, because it sure sounds good to me. Yes. Hello, Linda. Miss Pris Linda. Carol's Makeover. What a fun name. Hi, Carol. We're gonna have to give the Carols code names to keep them all straight. Hi, Tunder. Nice to see you. Hello, Gail Allen. Dawn loves me. Well, I love you right back. I'm telling you. I do. I do. I love every morning, whether you guys believe this or not. It's true. Every morning, I send part of my morning routine as I send love to every single one of you. And I may not do it by name, but I do many of you by name because I know your names and I interact with you. But I send love to you every single morning because I really do deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Annette. And on top of that, who couldn't use more love, right? Who couldn't use more love? So I do that every single morning. Absolutely. Hey, Shelley. Linda says she loves my crap shirt, but also the woman in it. Well, that's good. Hello, Ellen. Ellen. We have an Ellen and an Ellen. Hello, Ellen from Denmark. Nice to have you join us. BDN Star. I don't know what your name is, but you escaped from work to spend some drama-free time here. We won't tell. You're welcome, Judith. I'm glad it's making a difference. Hello, Cindy. Totally, Jane. Totally. Hey, Janice. Hi, Rita. Oh, it's so good to have. I really enjoy when you guys put in a state or a country or whatever in your greeting because it's just so much fun to see where everybody's from. It's so much fun. So much fun. Fun to see where you guys are from. Oh, thank you, Josie. That was very sweet. Oh, I see kitty feet in Carol's makeover post. Hi, Pavla. Nice to see you. It's Star. Okay. Okay. I finally got all my little cheat sheet notes consolidated into one piece of paper. Now, if I can just keep up with it, I'll be good. South Yorkshire in England. Linda's from her crafting area. Got ya. Oklahoma, Alberta, South Carolina, White Mountain, New Hampshire. Is that right? Hi, Dasha. From the Czech Republic. We got 2 from the Czech Republic today. That's wonderful. Just amazes me. It just amazes me how, hi, Orla. It just truly amazes me how people from all over the world can gather in one location, together for a few minutes. It just amazes me, I mean, really, it really does. Hey, Michelle from snow-covered Michigan. Please, do not send that down here, Michelle. No, we've had enough. We had rain this week. It did cool off a lot this week. I mean, it's supposed to be down in the 30s again today, or tonight, which will be really pretty chilly. Yeah, Dorothy, I'm not even going to try and say that. Okay, I'm going to guess. Is it Lester? Or is it something else? It could be something else. I know, Linda. Linda says it's called the interwebs. She is right. Hi, Gail. Hello, Alice. Nice to see you. It is a wonderful place. Hi, Mare. Speculator is Diane. Thank you for telling me that. I do like to call people by the name that they wish to be called by. It just sounds so impersonal to say, hello, speculator. It just sounds wrong somehow. Oh, Carol's Makeovers from the exotic land of Detroit. Oh, Becky's husband's walking in a heart walk tomorrow. How cool. Well, That's wonderful. And Linda McAllister's getting ready to eat. Well, that's just not even fair. I don't get to eat for at least 2.5 hours. That's just not even right. And on top of that, Linda, it was mean for telling me you're going to get to eat. Yeah. Okay, so, well, we rambled on for 10 minutes or so. And Annette has chocolate. You guys are mean. I'm gonna have to rethink about sending you that love tomorrow morning, Annette. I'm teasing. Oh, Linda. Hello, Chrissa. Oh, Chrissa, you're such a sweetheart. Yes. And now people want chocolate. And Linda's just giving me the devil. She's telling me she's going to eat and watch me work. Mm-hmm. And Dorothy's having hot cross buns. You guys are terrible. You guys are awful. No, Alice, that's not this that's going to be postponed. It's the VIP class. Was postponed from last week because we had an audio problem. That's what you got the email about, Alice. Yeah, that was the VIP class. So it will be on tomorrow, not this. This is a whole separate thing. Yeah, the Friday show is separate from your VIP class. Hi, Anna Maria. Because what happened was we got everything set up, and then there was an audio issue last Saturday. So although I announced the class and sent out the emails and had everything ready to go, yeah, technology interfered. Hello, Sandra. Thank you, Cindy. Cindy says if it helps, she's got nothing. That does help. And Pavla ate macarons today. That's wrong. Okay, here's something. I've never had one. I've never eaten a macaron. I'm assuming you're talking about, I've had coconut macaroons, but a macaron I think is different. Is that right? Pavla's she'll have to tell me if I see it. Linda, we're going to work while you're gone just to pay you back. Oh, no, Leanne just sent her husband to get Tim Hortons donuts. Listen to that. That's just mean. That's just mean, you guys. That's just mean. Okay, so, so let's just get started. In case any of you are new, I'm Barb Owen of HowToGetCreative.com. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the craziness known as Drama Free Friday. It's not as crazy as it could be. Turn off a fan. Sometimes it's crazier than other times. Anyway, it's Drama Free Friday, and so what we do is we just pretend that that everything outside of the walls of what's going on here anyway is suspended for the next couple of hours, and we're just going to have some fun. So, Orla's drinking red wine with a cat on her lap. Go, Orla. Go, Orla. Yeah, fancy French macarons. Yeah, I don't even know if that's how you say it. But anyway. Okay, so let's talk. I better put this off the table. Illegal fluids. We'll chat just for a minute about what we did last week, so I can show you up close and personal. Hello, Janet. Hi, Lorraine. Well, good, Lorraine. I'm glad you're here. So last week what we did was we played around with silk sari ribbon, which can be a bit of a tongue twister. And so I made a couple of cards. We did this one on the stream, on the show last week, this one. And this one I did later. using some of the flowers that we made while you guys were here. And this one, I'll show these to you up close here in just a second. This one, we did some of these flowers on the show and then put them together. And then I added leaves to it, and then I also added some beads. I think I put beads on one of them. And then this was a way I suggested if you do something like this and you want to give it as a gift, that you just stamp a background, you know, or you could buy a card that's already done for that matter and just cut or punch a couple of holes in the card, and that gives you a place to put your pin back through the card, and then that gives you a way to give it as a gift. Yeah, Alice, that's the kind I'm familiar with. That's the kind I'm familiar with. I've had plenty of those in my day. I love those, the Southern macaroons. Okay, so here is, we'll zoom in so you can see a close-up. Just so you can see what it looks like. So there is the little corsage type pin business. And I decided to add beads after I was finished putting the felt on the back, so you can see some threads here, which is not a very professional way to do that. But if it's on, I don't give it to anybody. It's just going to, and I'm not going to give it to anybody. It's going to be on my coat. And so it makes a nice coat pin. This is the card that we did together. So this is the card we did together last week. I had a little line work, just some fun stuff, and a few birds in the background because, you know, you gotta have some birds. If you're in an outdoor thing, you gotta have some birds. This technique with the glue, the scraped glue, is a fun technique to do. If you don't know how to do that, you might want to go back and watch last week's show. This is the other one that I did afterwards, and so I was just playing around with drawing things. So I drew, you know, a sun like a child would draw it, and oh, thanks, Judith, and some clouds. So I just drew that with the glue, and then I drew, you know, what might look like it might be some, I don't know, grass, weeds, whatever, in the bottom, and then scraped the paint across it, and the background was yellow. And so it saves the yellow. On this one, the background was pink. So when you do that technique with the glue and the scraped paint, the glue acts like a resist, and so it protects whatever's underneath it. So anyway, so just thought I would show you those from last week. And then we're going to get these far, far away. So these were all done with silk sari ribbon, and the leaves were created with just plain silk, like 2 layers of silk dupioni fused together. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to make some prompt cards, because I've had several requests for this, and I thought, well, we'll do that today because it would be a fun thing to do. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Enjoyed those little pins and cards and so forth made of the silk sari ribbon, which is wonderful. Okay, so here is an assortment of my prompt cards that I made. Okay, so here are my prompt cards. And I've collected art prompts of different kinds for a long time, and so I made a list, and so these are all the ones that I have. It's just a place, you know, you could start. I will put these on my blog. I will put these on my blog when I write the blog post this weekend, and so you'll be able to go and download that if you would like to have those. So I will put the link to that. If you're watching the recording, you should be able to, as long as I don't forget. So I'll put it in the description box below the video if you're watching the recording. If you're watching live while we're talking live, you're going to have to either come back to this video to get the link or go over to the blog, which is at HowToGetCreative.com. And you'll see the post there. When you see the post where there's a little colorful picture in on the front page of HowToGetCreative.com, There'll be a colorful picture there with the art prompt cards that we make today once they're finished. And so you'll be able to click that, go to the blog post, and then somewhere in that blog post, I won't make it complicated. You won't have to hunt for it, hopefully. You'll be able to find the link and download the link that has, you'll be able to download all the prompts, okay? Does that sound good? Yeah, you won't have to write them down, because we're not going to actually write the prompts on the cards like this. We're not going to actually write the prompts on there. What we're going to do is we're going to work on creating the colorful part of the cards. So that's what we're going to do. Oh, you can, and let me tell you, Becky says now she'll have to make a second set. The thing about it is you can never have too many prompt cards in my world, because sometimes I get stuck. And so when I get stuck for things, I will get either my cards that I've made, I'll get the cards from the Art Inspiration Deck by Karen Friedland, or I will get the cards by Kyla Givehand, and because I have several, and I will get those decks of cards out, and I'll just, grab one, and just, usually it only takes 4 or 5 cards, and then I get, kind of get my rhythm going, and I'm off and running again. Okay. So, what do I store them in? I stored them in a little box that I made. Several weeks ago, we did I showed you how to do this technique. It's kind of a faux metal technique. This is just a cardboard box, and I did this technique on it several years ago, actually, and painted metallic paint inside it. And so that's just what I store them in. They don't fit exactly, but if you're a box maker, you could make one that fits just exactly. This one, this one's good enough for me. Good enough for me. Hi, Sherry. Okay, so we're going to get started. So that gives you an idea of where we're going. So I've started out with 3 big sheets of paper. This is mixed media paper by Canson. And so I'm working with you could do whatever size sheet you want to work with. This happens to be 18 by 24. And I'm going to hold it up just to give you an idea. It's big, okay? It's big old sheets of paper. So I have 3 of them because I thought we'd play around. As one's drying, we'll work on the next one. So I have 3 of them. And I've put gesso on them. Well, let me grab the other one. Pardon my reach over the camera, which was rude. But I have some gesso that I was trying to use up. And so I'm going to show you the colors that I did here. Oops, sorry. Oh, well. Anyway, here we go. So I have gray gesso. I don't even know if you can still get gray gesso anymore, but I have this world's oldest bottle of gray gesso, and I need to use it up. And so this is the gray gesso on the back. Of course, you don't have to do gray. I'm just trying to use up a product, and I wanted something on the paper that was going to help thicken the paper up a little bit. Because although this is, I think, 98-pound paper, for cards that you're going to handle a lot, you might want to kind of thicken them up a little bit. So that's what I did here. You could, of course, when you're finished with these, you could, of course, mount them on cardboard or chipboard or something like that. I didn't want to do that, so I'm just working with the paper. So this is the gray gesso that I scraped. You can see all the scrape marks, and there are places where there's still some white paper showing. So that's gray gesso. This is gray with some white paint, or some white gesso. So this is white and gray mixed together. And again, it's just sloppily scraped on there. And then whatever was left on the scraper that was gray, I just added white. Okay? I just added white gesso on it. And so that is what I've got going on here. I did this just a few minutes ago, so it's because I scraped it, it's nice and dry. Okay. All right. So, if anybody has any questions, be sure you put them in caps, because otherwise even if they're in caps, once I get started, I'm not guaranteed that I'm to see it. The Clausman's here, so he's kind of monitoring, keeping an eye on the chat, and maybe he'll be able to answer some questions for you, or send me a text message and tell me I need to answer a question or whatever. Let's see. Okay, so that's what I did to get started. So the next thing I'm going to do is we'll take the gray one to start with. And what I'm going to do on this is I decided that I was going to use 3 different color combinations. And so I'm going to be working with the Dylusions paints just because I have them and they're easy to do and they're kind of nice and liquidy, liquid consistency. And so I'm going to do one set in these colors, which are red, yellow, and pink. Okay. So that's going to be one paper. I'm going to do another paper. Now, I could change my mind. This is just what I'm thinking at the moment. This is what I have prepared. But, you know, the muse could always take over and make us change our mind. I have another set of the purple, the blue, and the turquoise. And these are all from the Dylusions original sets of paints. I don't have the later colors, so these are all the original sets of colors. And then for the third color, the third sheet, I have yellow and the, let's see, what's this called? Fresh lime and cut grass or mowed grass or something like that. So those are the 3 sets of colors that I'm going to play around with. Okay. And the reason that I chose to do it that way, the reason I did it that way, the reason I divided those colors up like that is because if you start combining colors that are, if you use colors that are close together on the color wheel, meaning you can make a wedge like this, and use colors that are close together on the color wheel, they'll always work well together. If you use colors that are far apart, that are not neighbors on your color wheel, but are far apart, as in complementary or split complement and all of that sort of thing, you have a much greater chance of making mud. So that's why I selected those particular colors to work together. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Hi, Button Addict, welcome. Hi, Sally Ann. Yeah, so we should be good with these colors, okay? All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to get some texture on these sheets. And so the first thing we're going to do, because it will show up well, is we're going to use some of these slick, I don't know, I've heard them called slick pens. They're dimensional fabric paint, slick writers, whatever you want to call them. It's fabric paint with a pointy end. Okay, it's got a pointy end on the tube, on the applicator. And the reason I'm going to use these is because they are dimensional and it's going to immediately give us some texture. So let's start with the white one. I don't know that I'll use the colors, but I have the white one. And the other thing that I have is a China marker, and so we'll just see where it goes, okay? And I'm going to attempt, I don't know if I'll be able to stick to it, but I'm going to attempt to use 3 different things on my 3 different sheets. So we're gonna, because I've kind of made a list here. So we're gonna try to make one sheet mostly with lines, one sheet mostly with circles, and one sheet mostly with flowers. Now, if you don't like flowers or you don't want to draw flowers, you could change that to hearts or something else, or squares or whatever. I'm just after 3 kind of contrasting things. So let's go for lines on this one. And I'm sure you won't be able to see everything I'm doing, but I will attempt to show it to you as we go because the sheet of paper is really big. So first thing we're going to do is just put some lines. Now this is going to get cut up. So because of the fact it's going to get cut up, you want to be sure that you're making your marks or whatever you're doing, it needs to be pretty busy is my point. So things need to be kind of close together. You know, if you were painting a canvas or something, you would not be doing this because you would be much more conscious of things like focal point and things like that. That's not what we're doing here. So we're just going to keep adding color, texture mostly at this point, and lines on this one. I'm not thinking about it. The more that you can let your brain have a rest, the better this turns out. And when I can't think of something else to do, I like doing stuff like this just for the sake, you know, here's the deal. I don't have to have a purpose for this in order to do it. It's okay with me if the thing that I'm creating is just for the sake of creating. Now, I've got some blobs of paint over here. And so I'm just dragging the tip of my paint bottle back through that, so that it's not going to take forever and a day for this to dry. So I'm just kind of getting rid of some of those real blobby bits of paint here. I want the texture, but I don't want this to take all day. If I were not doing this on camera, I would just set that aside with the blobs on it and let them dry. You can do this, Lorraine. You can do it. You can. Hi, Shu. Hi, Lindy. Okay. All right, so there is what we've got on this one. So we're going to set this aside and let it dry, or we'll have to use a heat gun on it. It's entirely possible. Let's go to the next one. So this is the one that has more of the white added into the gray. And I'm just, for fun, I'm going to use the China marker on this one a little bit. And for this one, let's do circles. Okay, so we're just going to do circles. So circles that are close together in size, circles that are big. We're going to come back. I'm going to change the way I'm holding the China marker so maybe I can avoid breaking it. Yeah, you can let circles overlap, intersect. Make them big, make them small. How about if I get out of the picture so you can actually see a little bit more? But don't think too much about this. And of course you can make things go off the edge. It's always good when stuff goes off the edge. Because if, in case you cut clear to the edge, which I usually do, I will usually use painted papers like this all the way. It may be for note cards, it may be for bookmarks. It's hard to say, but I normally use up every single scrap of these papers as I work with them. So just for fun, since we've got some of that going on, what is a China marker? A China marker is it's a marker that will mark on about anything. Looking to see if I've got one that's got more information on it. I have them by a couple of different companies. Sure, you can use crayon, absolutely. You can use crayon, totally. I just happened to have these and decided I'd use them. So, like I have a Dixon China marker, I have a Barrel China marker. It seems like, and this one is Blaisdell China marker. I don't know what company the white one's from. I don't know if it's wax. It doesn't really feel waxy, so I'm not really sure what the base is. Maybe somebody can look it up. Maybe somebody can look it up and see what you can find out. But it is, I guess it might have some of a kind of a waxy thing. The idea is for it to resist a little bit. Yeah. To resist the paint a little bit, which it might or might not. Remember, we're just doing layers on here. So this is a lime green, electric lime it's called. So let's see if... But you could do whatever you want to do. It may, you know, by the time we're finished with all the layers of stuff that we're going to put on this, you might or might not even see that China marker. So a crayon would be fine. I would not, if you didn't have a China marker, I definitely would not go out and buy one for something like this. I would use a crayon, kids' crayons, or an oil pastel. Oil pastel. The idea is you want something that's not going to necessarily absorb or dissolve with wet layers. You're trying to get something that's going to just start building. Some of it's going to build actual texture, like these Slick Writers. These actually have dimension to them. I'm not sure whether you can tell, but they actually stick up above the surface a little bit. So, okay, so we got some green going on just for fun. It is relaxing because you just don't care about it. You don't care. All right, so we have one with lines, we have one with circles, and now we need to do our third sheet. So here's a white one. White with a little bit of leftover gray in it. And so this one, let's just use this color, which is Blazing Blue. And hi, Annette. Nanette. She says the grease pencil, a wax writing tool known as a wax pencil, China marker, or China graph pencil, is a writing implement made of hardened colored wax and is useful for marking on hard, glossy, non-porous surfaces. Excellent, thank you. So I read that because Nanette took the time to look it up and paste it in. So thank you for that. So we have Blazing Blue, and so this one we're going to do flowers, and I'm going to just do my same old doodly flower that I always do. If I can get my writer to work for me. The doodlier, the better. Of course, you can have things overlap. The freer you are doing this kind of stuff, the better. This is great stuff when you're frustrated or angry or sad, or any kind of emotion that you're trying to, like if you start working on some kind of project, you're going to mess it up. This is a good thing to do on those days. And I'm not squeezing this bottle very much. I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of pressure, because you can really squirt the paint on with these things, but I'm not doing that. I'm just giving it a little bit of pressure. So we're just making a flower garden. And if you get tired of doing one kind of flower, you know, well, then switch. You great long petals, big petals. See? So just do great giant petals. It's okay if you have some big stuff on these as well as the little things. It's okay. So let's make another big doodly kind of flower. Scribbly flowers. How about that? We'll call them scribbly flowers. I will say, if you have any kind of hand issues, like arthritis in your hands, sometimes using these scribble writers can, you know, they might be a little challenging to use, but just take breaks, you know, take breaks in what you're doing. So we got one more little corner over here to do. I'm trying to get stuff moved around just a smidge here so that I've got room. So you can make flowers with pointy petals. You can make flowers that have multiple kinds of petals on them. Doesn't matter. All we're after is kind of filling the space up with some texture and some shapes. So we kind of know, okay, this is the flowery one. One of the other ones is going to be the one with lines. And the other thing is, don't become obsessed with any one layer of this process, because if you do, you're going to stop yourself from, you know, exploring all the different options that we're going to explore with this. That's right, Linda. Quit eating and get busy. That's right, Linda. Quit eating and get busy. Okay, so we've got an assortment of little doodly kinds of flowers going on here. So I'm going to set this aside. This does not have very much texture. It does have some, but I went pretty light with the application of paint. So this is going to dry fairly quickly. We're going to go back to the one with the lines on it. And in order to get this to dry, this is a scraper from this is like a kitchen scraper. So I'm going to just come over this, and I'm just going to go over these lines. Like I said, ordinarily I would not do this. I would let these lines dry because I really like the texture. But if I do that, we're never going to get anything else done on this piece of paper. So I'm just simply scraping over them. You could use any kind of scraper to do this. You could use a credit card. You could use an old hotel key. You can't worry about the outcome on this. A lot of this is already dry, but there's still some sections that were not. So it's like, this will never dry if we don't spread out some of this paint a little bit. Okay, got it. I told you, Linda, put down that food and get busy. Okay, I saw somebody say it was hard for you too. What's hard? I was checking back through the chat to see. Hi, Magdalena. I'm not sure what it was that somebody thought was hard. The heat gun, yeah, if you get the heat gun down too close to the surface and you have a lot of paint bubbling up, you're gonna boil the paint. That's good texture too. It will also help you dry the surface at the same time as all of that. So we're gonna use the heat gun here for a second. Let's make sure this one's plugged in. It is. Hard to craft freely. Got ya. Oh, not stressing over the design and keeping it free. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. And you know how you get over that? You just make yourself do it. That's how you get over it. You just make yourself do it. Yeah. Easy to say, hard to do. I'm just going over it with my hands to make sure everything's kind of smeared out. Now, one of the things you find with this kind of paint is that it will have kind of a sticky, tacky feel to it for a while. But by the time we're done putting all this other stuff on top of it, it's going to be fine. Okay, so let's spray some ink over the top of it just because we can. So let's spray some, these are tumble dye sprays. These are tumble dyes that are actually fabric paint, but I dilute them or use them straight all the time on paper and other stuff. These are diluted. This one happens to be blueberry that's diluted. We're just going to spray some on this. Smear the stripes, that's right. Now, if you don't like getting your hands into stuff, this may not be your thing because you're going to see me get my hands into it. Because that's just how we're going to do it. So that was blueberry. This one is purple. And these have water. So it is ink and water. Or actually fabric dye and water rather than ink. Okay, and so I'm just going to put I'm just going to finger paint for a minute. And mostly the reason I'm going to finger paint is because I don't want this intense concentration of dye or ink, fabric dye. I tend to use the words dye and ink interchangeably. If you haven't figured that out by now, it is true. So, in the words of my mother, take me for what I mean, not necessarily for what I say. Okay, so. Hey, Deborah, would felt tips work on the gesso paint? I kind of stay away from felt tips on acrylic paint because I find that they just instantly clog up. So unless you are working with a brush marker like the Sharpie brush markers or the Pitt pen big brush markers, I tend to stay away from felt tip over any kind of acrylic paint. I've tried it multiple times and have clogged them all up. So yeah, that's what I say. Okay, so we've just got some ink dye on this one. So let's go to another one. So let's go to our circle one. Give it a shot of heat. Yeah, the paper is the Canson mixed media paper. The paper is 98 pound. Comes in a big tablet. Comes in varying sizes of tablets, actually. This is the 18 by 24 that I'm using, but it's the Canson mixed media. Yeah. Okay, so this one, let's use on this one, maybe we have some, this is red something, I don't know, can't read my own writing. How sad is that? And orange, so I've got some red and orange and yellow, so we'll see if any of these sprayers work. Like I said. Okay, if sprayers don't work, then sprinkle. If the sprayers if the sprayers are clogged up, just take the lid off and sprinkle. Do a little sprinky dink. Just put some color on. And this one is mustard. Again, I'm choosing colors that work together, that are close together on the color wheel so that we don't end up just completely making mud out of things. So we're going to begin to, and that's a lot of orange, so we'll just soak a little bit of that up. We're just beginning to add some color and just see what happens. And if you need more, add more. Hi, Tina. Hi, Sarah. Is it Sarah? Aristi? Galena? Hi, you guys. Thanks for joining us. So I'm putting a little bit more of the red on here. And just, you know, we're just adding color. Because why not? Because we can. Now, tumble dye, whether it is diluted or straight from the bottle, will dry and not re-wet. And that's one of the things I love about them. So this is not one of those sprays that moves around on you. So once it's dry, it is permanent. You gotta love that. I love water-soluble products as well for certain applications, but I gotta say, I'm more a fan of things that don't move around on me. So this one had a combination of gray and white gesso on it. And the paper will wrinkle and carry on. You know, if you get it really wet, it is going to wrinkle up and stuff. And buckle. And you can't see that color very well. Let me show it to you a little bit better. A little bit better shot of the color. Okay. So that way you can see what the color really looks like. So you can see the ink beginning to really pick up some of the color there. And begin to tint that gray a little bit. Your tumble dies got moldy? Oh my goodness. I have never had that happen. Definitely haven't had that happen. You can use anything you want on this, honestly. The circles on this, the circles on here are the slick writers, the Tulip slick writers, and the China marker. So that's what I used on here. Okay? That's what I used on this one. Okay, let's go to the flowery one. And give it a little bit of heat. And this one has more white gesso, a little bit of gray, but mostly white. And the gesso, the purpose of the gesso on this, on using it on this paper, for me, is to thicken up the paper a little bit. It not only creates a primer for the surface, but it also helps to kind of thicken the paper a little bit. So that's why I'm using gesso. Okay, good enough. All right, let's move on to some other colors. So this one is royal blue. So these are tumble dyes, royal blue, turquoise, and maybe some lime and mint mixed together. Your sprayers will last a lot longer when you're done with them, if you'll take them to the sink and spray clear water through them. Ask me how much of the time I do that. Not as much as I should, let's say that. Okay, so we got some ink, diluted tumble dyes, and I never have cleaned my hand. You can see I still have orange on it, so if some of the stuff on my hand begins to transfer, then we'll know that I should have cleaned my hand. But pretty much, when it dries, my experience is it is permanent and doesn't move around. So the orange that's on my hand is staying on my hand, in other words. This isn't fabric, this is paper. If there's fabric in the description, that was a mistake. Yeah. If I had fabric in the description, that was a mistake. These are big sheets of paper that we are doing. We're making mixed media prompt cards. So yeah, if I have paper or fabric in the description, my apology. And sometimes your sprayers get, partially clogged, and yeah, I just buy sprayers by the dozens and keep them on hand. This is Canson mixed media paper. It is, the size I'm working on is 18 by 24. They're big sheets of paper. The Canson mixed media paper comes in a variety of sizes. I just happened, sorry, I distracted myself. I just enjoy having the big sheets, because when they're done, it takes just as long to make a big sheet as it does a small one a lot of times. And so when I'm done, I have, you know, a bigger resource to work with. Okay, so I'll show this to you up close, so you can see kind of the detail. And the color is going to take differently depending on how much gesso there is. I scraped the gesso on, and because I scraped it on, there's going to be thick and thin spots. Okay. All right, so there's that one. Okay. So let me take a second and answer questions. Okay, anybody have any particular questions here? Ooh, Galena had a batch of gesso that went brown on top and smelled so bad it stuck on her house. That's not good. Yuck, that's time to throw that out. So I'm just looking through questions for a second. Okay. Where do you buy, like the Canson? Okay, Janet, are you asking, is Janet asking where do you buy the Canson mixed media paper? You can get it from any, if you have a craft store, most craft store or art stores are going to handle it. You're also going to be able to get it at, of course you can get it online, but most craft and art and craft supply stores will have it. It's very commonly available. Comes with a big blue cover on it. Let me see if I can pull up one here. This is what it looks like. It's the Canson XL mixed media paper. Now, the size I'm using is bigger than this. This one's 14 by 17. I'm showing you, I'm actually using the sheets the next size up. It's 98 pounds paper. Okay? So that's the paper we're working with. Okay, so let's hit this with a little bit of heat, and then we'll set it aside and we'll go back to the other one. Hi, Muriel. Hi, Helen. They're crazy expensive. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about paper. You could do this with a piece of poster paper. You could do this with cardstock. You could do this with cardboard. You could do it with, if you had scrapbook paper that you didn't like, you could do it with that. Just gesso over the part you don't like and start doing the same thing. The paper is irrelevant, honestly, for this process. Now, you wouldn't want to do something like lightweight copy paper because it wouldn't be heavy enough. But yeah, the paper, there's nothing magic about this paper. That's just, it was the biggest sheets I had. Other than I have some newsprint. But newsprint is, like the stuff they print newspapers on, it's not thick enough for this, so I wouldn't use that. So, yeah, any kind of paper stuff will work for this process. Absolutely. Helen said that I recently mentioned a non-gritty gesso. Yes. That would be this one, the Dina Wakley. That would be this one, the Dina Wakley Media Line Clear Gesso Artist Quality Primer. This one is absolutely smooth. Yeah, this one is absolutely smooth. It does not have any grit in it. Yeah. Yeah, Linda says, but with newspaper you can, or news, the newsprint, you can make nice present wrapping papers. Absolutely. Okay, what do I put in the Inca Gold to keep it moist and from molding? Now watch me open one and it'll be moldy. This is one of my Inca Golds. I just grabbed one off the shelf. Hello. Sorry, wrong camera. So this is one I just grabbed off the shelf, and it's moist. See? It's moist. I take a baby wipe, a really moist baby wipe, and I fold it up and I put it on the top of that. I also put in, if it starts to get hard, and some of them do, I put in some distilled water. Don't use regular water, use distilled water, and I keep them tightly capped, and I don't seem to have much trouble with them. Yeah. So, let's see. Any other questions? Okay. I don't see any other questions. You're welcome. Okay, let me put that away. See, it helps to have my stuff where I know where it is. I have to tell you, that doesn't always happen. Okay, let me clean my hands a little bit. Yes, using your fingers can cause the mold in the containers. So you want to, with Inca Gold, from the company, I took a class with the company representative a couple of years ago, and one of the things that they say is to always take the product out of the container for maximum, for the least amount of mold possibilities. Take it out with a palette knife and put it on a surface and use it from the surface. Now, do I do that? I don't. I should, but I don't. I know. But that's what they tell you to do. Inca Gold is a metallic gold rub. It's kind of like Rub and Buff, except it's in little pots. So I'm just trying to get some stuff off my hands here. Inca Gold comes in these little pots like this. Okay. So Inca Gold Metallic Rub. It's you get a wide assortment of colors. It's really a very versatile product, I think, because you can make paint out of it. You can rub, edges and surfaces and so forth. It is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful stuff. But some people don't like it, and I understand why, because they have problems with the mold. Yeah, we'll see if we can remember. If I do it at this stage, if I put Inca Gold on here, it's just going to get covered up. So try to see if somebody can remind me at the end to put some Inca Gold on. How's that? How's that be? Okay, so let's move on, shall we? So let's use some paint. So I'm going to set this one aside and go back to the one with the lines on it. So let's put some paint on here. And I think we're going to dedicate this one as our purple, blue, and turquoise one. Yeah. Something to put on your 2 million mile long list. That's right. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is the Dylusions. This happens to be the purple paint, and this happens to be one of the pots of purple paint that from the original run of paint, which was not great, and so it's kind of looks like cottage cheese, and it's not in great shape, but it still works. So they did replace it for me, which was very nice of them. So we're just going to take a baby wipe and just smear some paint around. Here and there. So I'm just going to paint with, smear it around with a baby wipe a little bit. And the reason that I chose these three colors is because I know that there are neighbors on the color wheel. They're not going to make mud. Okay, so we've got a little bit of crushed grape. And the reason this has a piece of tape with an X on it, it just tells me that that's the one that was kind of a mess. Hello, Margaret. All right. And sometimes there's some crummy stuff coming off the lids. I'm not going to worry about that. It'll either shake off or get glued in with the paint. So this is the turquoise color. It is vibrant turquoise. The reason I'm putting the paint on with a baby wipe is so that I can get it to be a nice thin application of paint. The one thing about this paint is that most of us have discovered is that if you put it on too thickly, it does take a while to dry. I don't have a problem with that under normal circumstances, except when I'm streaming a live stream, and then in that case it's good to have it, be drying. So we're just spreading it around, just because we can. Okay, so I'm just spreading it around. A little here and there. If I get too much, I'll put some of it somewhere else. Don't forget the edges. When you're doing stuff like this, if you intend to use the edges, make sure that you carry the paint colors to the edges when you're doing stuff like this. So I'm just picking up the barest little bit. I mean, there is a tiny little bit there. It's a very strong paint. It's a very strong pigment. It goes a long way. Okay, so we got some turquoise and some purple. Now, if you started this on white gesso, you're going to have brighter colors than what I have here, but I like working with all different kinds of colors. Other than taupe, it's not my favorite, but we all know that. It's good for some things, but it's not my favorite. The color wheel. Okay. This is a color wheel. Okay. So this is a color wheel, handmade color wheel. This is actually from one of the classes that's upcoming on the website. And the color wheel, the colors that are close together, such as what we're doing is blue, purple, and turquoise, those colors that are close together on the color wheel will never make mud. These colors on this side, or these colors here, or these colors here will not make mud when you mix them together. If you start taking some violets and some blues and some oranges and some yellows and mixing them together, you're going to cause, those are color complements, and they are going to get muddy. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So this is a little bit of London Blue. So we're going to just smear a little bit of London Blue around. Oh, good, Marion. Good. Good to see you, Marion. So just adding a little bit of color here and there. That was a little bit much, so we'll kind of spread it around a little bit. And you don't need to, the only reason I'm working a little harder at blending things in, again, is because of the drying factor. But honestly, I love stuff like this where it's just, you know, streaky, and that to me is yummy. So, okay, so we're going to call that one good for this. Hi, Susan. Hi, Patricia. Your color challenged? It's okay, Linda. It's okay. All right, I'm going to clean off my hands just a smidge here. When you start doing stuff like this, it's a really good idea, and I forgot, but it's a really great idea to put on a product like this. It's called Gloves in a Bottle. There are various products similar to this one. This is not the only one, but it's a shielding lotion, and it does make stuff come off your skin a lot easier at the end of the day. Okay, let me show this to you up close. Now, this is really close. Let's back out. Okay, so you can kind of see the different colors. You see the lines on this one. Hello, Dawn. Yeah, I love the streaky kind of look about it too. This is going to be one of my favorite pieces right there. I hope that a card comes out of that. That would be great. Perfect. Okay, so we'll put this one aside. We'll go back to the circle one. Clean up a little bit of my surface here. Okay, so here's the circle one. Let me get rid of these paints because we're done with those at the moment. Done with the tumble dyes for the moment, so I'll put those out of our way too. I use little boxes like this to store stuff in. These are just, you know, boxes that something else came in. It's easy for me to grab things off my shelf if they are in containers like that. So for what that might be worth, I don't know. I have people ask me questions about how I store things and all of that from time to time. Okay, so for this one, let's go with these colors, which are, this is another one that is was part of that first batch of paint that's not in great shape, but it's good enough to use certainly for this. So this is Bubblegum Pink and Squeezed Orange, and this is Postbox Red. So let's start out with a little bit of the Squeezed Orange. As my son used to call it, orange. All right, so we're going to do some orange and brighten this up a little bit. The Dylusions paints are translucent, and so you should still be able to see stuff under all of this. So we'll be able to still see the China marker circles underneath, as well as the green circles that have some raised texture. Again, you know, don't forget the edges, and be sure and leave things kind of streaky if you like that. Some people don't like that. Some people want everything nice and blended. You know, there is no, when you're doing stuff like that and like this, where you're just decorating papers, it doesn't matter. It is purely a matter for you of what do you like. So this is the Postbox Red, and again, I'm just painting out of the lid. The little pots are squatty, and they do stay pretty. They're pretty secure on the surface, but yeah, they have a big, wide open mouth, so be a little careful with that. So I'm just going to pick up some red and streak it across here and there. Could put it on in a linear fashion. You could, because this is circles, you could put it on in a circle motif. Which would be even better. Kind of carrying our theme through of circles on this sheet. And the reason that I give myself a theme like this and say, this one's circles, that one's lines, that one's flowers, is otherwise I will make the same thing over and over and over. Because we all have our things that we like. You know, we all have certain fallback colors or motifs or designs or doodles. You know, when you just think about when you grab a pencil and you start doodling, do you always write letters? Like, do you write your name? Do you draw flowers? Do you write hearts? Do you draw stars? You know, it's that kind of stuff. Yes, the company did send me new product. They sure did. The Ranger company is excellent about, when they know they have a problem, they are very good about replacing the defective product. They had a problem at one point with distress stains when they, and you know, most of that stuff honestly happens when products are new and they're just rolling something out, you know, as a new thing. You know, they wait and see. They have to see how it lives in the marketplace and how people use it, how does it stand up and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes they have an issue that they have to deal with. And quite honestly, that does not bother me. You know, as long as they're willing to stand behind their products, I am all good with that. So just add color. So it's gradually coming up and becoming brighter and more colorful. And everything that we do to the paper is thickening the paper up a little bit more and more. Okay, so we'll take a look at this one. Yeah, you have to go online and tell them. They can't read your mind. That's true. Hey, Ruth, good to see you. Jerry's has great customer service also. That's good. Good to know. Okay, so you can see what we've got going on. It's just a lot of color, good contrast. Got the gray in the background. And the colors on the surface, so hopefully you can kind of see. I could be a little better on the edges of these, honestly, but I'm kind of finding myself doing a frame you know, of staying away from the edge. And that happens if you're not really conscious. That's why I keep saying do the edges, because if you're not conscious, you'll have this happen. So might as well let you guys see what, you know, what happens. See the pitfalls. Okay, so we're on to the last piece of paper. This is the flowery one. So for this one, let's use our remaining set of 3 colors that I'd picked out, which are the yellow, green, and yellow, green. Again, close to each other on the color wheel. So we have yellow, yellow, green, and green. That's what we've got going on here. So those are neighbors on the color wheel, which are going to work fine. So let's start out with the yellow, green. I'm going to shake this and get a little paint in the lid. Because for me, it's easier to paint out of the lid than it is the pot. I can control how much paint I pick up. Okay, I'm going to start with a fresh baby wipe. That one's got orange and stuff on it. We don't really want the orange. You can paint with other things, certainly, but baby wipes are really handy to use with this kind of paint. So I'm going to just pick up a little bit on the baby wipe. And add the color. Now you're going to see this color is going to appear to be much brighter because this has more white in the background than the other ones. The first one is quite dark because I had mostly gray. The second one was I had gray and white, and this one is mostly white. So the colors are going to be clearer and brighter. You also, hopefully you can see that the dye spray dyes are not moving. And that is one of the reasons. Now, if you were using Dylusions inks, you're not going to have that experience. You're going to have those inks moving around on you. So if you want to keep, if you're going to use spray inks, you need to be sure that you use, and you're going to come up with the top of them with other things, then you need to be sure that you use something that's not going to re-wet. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Dawn. Okay, so we're going to come over with some green. And I know that you don't have feel-o-vision to be able to feel this, but I can feel the slick writer, fabric writer, which was this. We used the blazing blue to draw the flowers, and I can feel that as I'm rubbing across the surface. So I actually have physical texture from that that's happening, which is cool. I like that. So just adding some color here and there, not trying to cover the whole surface because, you know, we put those other things down there like the inks and so forth, or dyes, actually dyes, tumble dyes that I made into spray inks. And I don't want to cover all that up. So, and remembering all the time that you do stuff like this, if you're making a sheet of paper, remember the whole time you're doing this that it's going to get cut up. So don't get married to any section of it. Hello, Joyce. Okay, so I'm going to turn my baby wipe a little bit. Could be a paper towel, it could be whatever. I'm just using a baby wipe because it kind of helps dilute the paint a little bit and add a little bit, punch it up a little bit here and there with some yellow. Because flowers need a little bit of sunshine, don't you know? Now, because that yellow-green is there, the yellow and the yellow-green are similar colors. So I think you can still see the difference in them. And yet we still have some of the blue from the tumble dye spray coming through, which is good. I don't want to cover all that up. The best thing you can do if you're going to do something like this is put on some music and just go for it. Don't worry about it. Don't judge. Don't judge your results. Just go for it. Okay, so we've got yellow and yellow-green and green on this one. We're going to call it good. We're going to put those away. I'll let you take a look at this one up close. The colors are a little different from one camera to another. This one is what you're looking at is going to appear to be very fluorescent. It's not quite as fluorescent. It's just that these colors just reflect a lot of light. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use some stencils. So I picked out several stencils. And we'll just pick up one and we'll just use it. I think we'll just use these three. I had pulled out four, but you know what? We got 3 pieces of paper. We'll just use one on each paper. Absolutely, you could do this with cardstock and kids' paints. You betcha. You betcha. If you want to make a lot of cards, you're just going to have to do several pieces of cardstock. But you sure could. So this is the stencil crossed. Okay, so this is the stencil crossed, which is the Crafter's Workshop 451. This one is called Fancy Feathers. This one is the Crafter's Workshop 389. Fancy Feathers is the name. The way I know is I mark them on the stencils. And this one is, let's see, Cosmic Bubbles is the name of this one. This is the Crafter's Workshop 153. I'm assuming these are all still available. I really don't know, however. Okay, let me switch to a different piece of paper. So let's go back to this one. This one needs to be lightened up, and so we're going to go to, since this is kind of the linear one, let's use this one, the Crosses stencil. And let's use some white craft paint. How's that sound? So I'm going to put some white craft paint on a palette. This could be on a paper plate, could be on a foam plate. Cosmic Bubbles is your favorite. Yeah, it's a cool stencil. We're just painting big old pieces of paper, and then we're going to cut them up. I probably won't cut them up on the stream, but I will cut them up and show them to you later. I'm going to cut them up into smaller pieces like this to make prompt cards. So these are the prompt cards. I do have a list for you. They're prompts for prompt cards, and this just happens to be a list that I collected over time. And if you're watching the recording, it will be, hopefully, I will remember to put the link in the description box below the video. Or if you're watching it live, you're going to have to come back in order to get the link, because I don't have it on the website yet. You'll have to come back and catch the link here, or over the weekend I will put up a blog post about this live stream, and in that it will direct you to go to the blog, and there you'll see the post, and in there you will find the link. So, or you could just make up your own. Okay? Okay, so I have some white paint. I have my stencil. I have a sponge. This is a makeup sponge. And we're just gonna, I'm trying to give myself some room here. So, because this is a big old piece of paper. So we're gonna start up here in a corner. There we go, so you can see it. I'm gonna kind of turn these on an angle so that everything is not going exactly straight with the world. And I'm gonna get some paint on my sponge, but not a lot. And just stencil on a little bit of white. Not too much, but what I'm after here is to just kind of lighten up some of this dark background and get a different shape going. When you stencil, you want to not have a lot of paint on your sponge. So I am putting paint on the sponge and then dabbing it beside to get rid of some of the excess paint. And then we're just going to keep putting a few little marks from this stencil. Don't forget about the edges, Barb. Don't forget about the edges. So easy to forget the edges. If things get too dark when you're doing something like this, you can always come back. I like to take it outside to do this, quite honestly. Take it outside and splatter some white, liquidy white paint. That helps lighten things up. And you can vary the amount of paint that you're carrying on the sponge. That helps too, to make different tints of the colors underneath. And you can always do multiple stencils on things like this. I'm just going to use one because we don't want to be here all day and all night doing this, do we? The less you think about this, the better. The paper for the background is Canson mixed media paper, but it really doesn't matter whatever kind of paper you would like to use. If you're going to do something that you want to last over time, you want to have something that has a little bit of body to it. But you could always do thin papers and then attach them to cardstock or cardboard or whatever. But this just happens to be Canson mixed media paper because I have it and because it's big sheets. And I love having my own papers that I do ready. And you know, one of the things I've noticed, if I do something and I go, oh man, that's the ugliest thing I ever did, I let it sit overnight and the next day it's like, what was it I didn't like about that again? It's amazing how sleep makes things look better. Maybe somebody comes in my studio and does something to them. I'm not sure. Okay, we're going to leave that alone. Okay, so we've just got some white linear design going here, there, and wherever. Okay. That's a good price on that, Ruth, for the feather stencil. While we're here, why don't we I'm going to get something else. Hang on just a minute. These are things that I use in my with the jelly plate. So let's print with these a little bit. Let's use this. This is a piece of needlepoint canvas, plastic needlepoint, plastic canvas for needlepoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of white paint and I'm going to just put some paint on there and turn it over and print with it on my paper. See what it's doing? And even some of it came through over here where I was putting paint on the canvas. I'm okay with that. But you see how it varies. It's got the similar theme of this, but it's much smaller, so it varies the scale. So again, just putting some white acrylic paint on it. And maybe one more little dabble of white acrylic on the plastic canvas. And the reason I'm using this is just a brayer, just an inexpensive, nothing magic brayer, is because it makes that print go down better. Takes some pressure to get it to print off there. But can you see that? Pretty cool stuff. But it's very light application of paint, and so it's, I mean, it pretty much is already dry. Yeah, they're great. Great as texture. Okay, so we're going to set this aside. Let's go back to the circle one. Okay, so here's our circle one. So, of course, actually, I think we're going to put the feathers on this one, because I think the feathers would be really pretty on this. So, let's use, think just for a second here. I know, it could be dangerous. No thinking aloud. No thinking aloud. I'm looking for something that's going to show up on this paint. I think actually, you know what? We're just going to go with white because that's what I've got out. We'll just do that. Okay, we'll just do white. Don't forget the ink of gold. I'll do my best not to forget. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is the Fancy Feathers stencil, and I'm just going to use some white, again, to kind of brighten this up, because it's a little dark. So let's pick a feather, and I'm going to do my best to work from left to right. My paper's buckled up a little bit, so I'm just going to encourage it to lay down. And I'm just going to start up here and try to get most of the paint off on the sponge, get most of that paint off. And let's just put down a couple of feathers. Nice feather, huh? Let's do another one. I don't care if I get every single bit of the feather. Okay, let's do another feather, just because we can. All right, now let's turn feathers on their heads, because we don't want everything marching across the page necessarily. It's good to have things going at different angles and different, some upside down, some right side up. I'm barely touching the paper because I don't want it to be too perfect. Don't want it to be too perfect. Okay, let's come down here and we'll do one, maybe coming this way. So I don't want every single detail from the stencil, as I said. Let's do, while we're here, let's do this one. And then we might go that way. And then let's go remembering that this is going to get cut up, and so little bits and pieces of these feathers, we want little bits and pieces of things, if possible, to land on each card. Okay, let's come in. Let's do one going this direction. White and black always help these papers, in my opinion. They make the other colors shine and pop. Okay, let's go for a little bit more. How about this feather? We haven't used this one yet. We'll let this one kind of go hanging off the edge here. I do have to tell you that I like this stencil. It's a pretty, these are pretty feathers. All right, that's pretty. That's a pretty one. Maybe we'll let a little bit of that kind of peek up from the bottom here. We have sunshine today. Can you tell? How can you tell that we have sunshine where I am? If you weren't here to be in my studio with me, do you know how you can tell that I have sunshine? Because the sponsors are quiet. That's how you can tell. That's how you can tell, because the sponsors are quiet. Exactly, Josie. Josie got it. That's how you know. Sunshine makes sponsors drunk. Yes, yes it does. Okay, let's put a little teeny bit poking in off the edge up here. Okay, so we're going to stop with the feathers. And what we're going to do now is we're going to use this ring. So this is the same exact thing as the plastic canvas I showed you a minute ago. It's the same thing. Came like this. I cut out the center part of it, so now I have two bits to use. So we're going to use the ring part of it. So just sprinkling some of this because it's different than the other one, which I love. I love having things be, you know, the color is similar. I mean, we're using white, so we've got that going. But other than that, it is adding a little different kind of texture. And a different scale. You want to vary the scale of things. So some things that are big, some things that are small. Overlap things, let things touch each other. That's always good. Let things run off the edge. That's always good. But in the background, you can still see, I'll let you look at this real close. In the background, those of you that were here at the beginning, you can still see the circles from the China marker. That's what the background circles. These circles that look kind of greenish, those are from the scribbles. Hello, Judy Patootie. And so you can still see all the stuff that's going on in the background. And then as we're working toward the top layers, we're getting more and more fun stuff happening as it kind of buries some of those other layers. I know, you can still see the starting scribbles. That's pretty fun, isn't it? Okay, so we have one more to do this particular treatment on with the stencil and a texture item of some kind. So we'll go to the flower page and we're going to use the circles. So these are the cosmic circles, cosmic bubbles, cosmic bubbles. And just because, for the sake of, because I have it out, we're just going to use white. Now this one looks much brighter, and the reason for that is because it had more white in the background to start with. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start in the upper left-hand corner. Try to. And we're just going to put a random bubble circle here and there. Okay, and then we're going to pull it off. Who doesn't love some good spots? I'm telling you, you gotta love some spots here and there. You gotta love you some bubbles, don't ya? Oh, thanks, Margaret. Cosmic bubbles are really nice. It's a great stencil to use on a jelly plate as well. Okay, let's go up here and see if we can put in a few bubbly bubbles. Here and there. Don't care if they're perfect. Perfection is highly overrated. If perfect is what you're all about, this is going to be challenging for you. But a good challenge is always a good thing to do. It's always good to challenge yourself. Try new colors, try new shapes, try new materials, try a new idea. Look on YouTube, look on a blog, pick out a technique you've never heard of before. And just go for it. You don't have to copy it if you don't want to, but you certainly could just be inspired by it and go, I'm going to try that because that thing is different to me, you know? Different is always, challenging yourself is always a good idea. Okay, a few more bubbles here. Don't you hate it when you open your bottle of paint and you just want a little bit and it just squirts out a whole bunch? Now you have to use it. Yeah. Oh, gotta love it. Yes. Okay, a few bubbles there. We'll put a few bubbles down in this corner. Okay, we're going to call that good with the cosmic bubbles. Yes. Okay. Now, this thing, I don't know if you guys have seen these before. Probably you have. These are hot pads. I'm going to hit this with a little heat first because some of this is a little bit wet, so. Alice wants to know if I have a session on image transfer. Actually, I'm recording. I will be having a class go up on the website I won't promise exactly when. It's going to go up this weekend on image transfer. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this is a hot pad. It's a silicone hot pad. I got it at a discount store. So I'm just going to put some paint on it and give it a little honeycomb texture going on here. So just randomly add some paint. These come in different sizes of the honeycomb, and also you can get them in squares. So yeah, they're a really great little texture tool. They work really well on the jelly plate. They work great for paste paper. They work great as a stamp like this. Fun little tool. Okay, good enough. Okay, so we have that done. Tuesday morning is where you got it. These I got at Walmart. Yeah, you can get these at a discount place. Those came from Walmart. But I'm sure you can find them many places. And if you don't have places like that, I'm sure they are available online. You know, you can order them online as well. Okay, so here is, again, this is looking extremely fluorescent as you're looking at it. It's not nearly as fluorescent as it would appear. Sorry, I got some crud on there. So you can see the neat texture that gives. Yeah, once you start thinking, you know, in terms of using other, you know, materials for things other than which they were intended, your whole world opens up. Okay. So, let's see what's on my list next. On my list next is stamps and words. Okay. So, let me grab, let's see. What do I want to write with? Paint pen. I'm going to grab a paint pen here. Just looking for a pen that I want, or some pens that I want to use, so give me just a second here. Okay, so I have a few different paint pens to use. And I'm going to go back to the original sheet so that this one, or the first sheet, not original, but the first one, so that one can dry really well. Yep, burlap ribbon, you bet. I mean, you just, once your mind starts thinking about this stuff, you can just start having some fun. Okay, let's try these. This is a painter's pen, paint marker. Now if I can get it open, we're in good shape. This one is really stuck. When things get really stuck, if you have a jar opener like this, sometimes that helps because you can get a hold of it like that. Okay, so let's put some words on this. And I'm just gonna, whatever shot comes into my head, I'm gonna write, and I'm gonna write on the lines. And I don't care whether you can read it. Okay, and if it decides it's going to be ornery, stop and charge up the pen again, meaning you depress the point again to get it going, or you stop and shake it. Let's see. Okay, so maybe one more word over here. Okay, so we've got some words written on here. You can maybe read some of them. So this is just a paint pen. Okay, this is a painter's pen. And so we're going to set this aside for a minute. Let's write on the other ones. So on this one, I have a red painter's pen, so let's see what it does. Okay. So just adding some doodles here and there. All right, we're going to call it good on that one. Leave that one alone. So just some doodles here and there. And then back to our flower bubbly one. And I have a green painter's pen, but I'm not sure that's going to show up on here, but hey, we'll... I'm not sure this one even writes anymore. This one seems to be dried up, so we'll probably toss that one. So we'll use this black one, see if it wants to write. Okay, so on this one, let's just do some little doodly doos. Remembering always that these are going to get cut up into other things. Therefore, you want to go different directions. Just sprinkling color and design around the surface. Maybe these are the little worms in the garden. Gotta have worms. Okay, and when I do these little doodly things like this, one of my things that I like to do is I like to go back and put dots. I don't know why. It's just one of the things that I like. So I like those little, it's like somehow it takes it from a doodle to a pattern, if that makes any sense. But it's really easy to do these with a paint pen. Now this is not your standard marker like a Sharpie. This is a paint pen. And paint pens will write over acrylic paint where Sharpie markers and most felt tips will just immediately clog up. So and if you miss some of these, you can always come back and do them later. because these are paint pens, it will take a little bit for them to dry. They don't dry like immediately. But it's easy to do these, and it just gives the, you know, a little bit more fun and punch and pizzazz to your surface. And you see how you still see the flower design coming through from the very first layer that we did. We drew those flowers using one of those slick writers. Okay, so I may have gotten all of them. I might not have. There's one I missed. So if I missed any of the rest of them, I'll get them later. Doodly doos, that's right. Doodly doos need dots. Indeed they do. Okay, so we've got that. Okay, let's go back to the first one and let's put some stamping on it. So we'll put a little bit of stamping on this one. So I have, I think we're gonna, well, let's try this. We'll try this. This is one of Seth Apter's stencil or stamps. So I'm just gonna pull these out. These are from Seth Apter. They're called, these are from Impression Obsession. They're called Solar System. That is the stamp right there, Solar System. And they are from Impression Obsession stamps. You might be able to get these on his website too. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick one of these. Maybe we'll do this one because it's got lines on it. And this is black, Archival black ink. And I'm going to stamp it where some of the white is, just to get some fine lines going on here. I am clearly not using a stamp block because I'm not interested in perfection of the stamping. I'm just interested in getting something else on here that looks a little different. So it is perfectly fine to stamp over stuff that you've already done, like what we're doing here. We're going right over the words that I wrote, right over the stenciling, and it's just grunging it up a little bit and helping to kind of add another layer of stuff. Here and there. So this is the kind of thing that you can spend like a really long time doing and going over and doing more and more and more. And you can just keep on adding and playing. And because it's a big sheet of paper, it doesn't matter what it looks like at this point, because when you get done with it, you're going to cut it up. And I can promise you that anything you cut up looks 100 times better than it does in the great big sheet. Okay, so you can kind of get the idea of adding the fine line texture. You see that? Isn't that an interesting stamp? It's pretty cool, huh? Okay. So there you go. There's that one. So maybe, maybe what we're going to do now, rather than work on all 3 sheets, maybe what we'll do here is just play with this one a little bit more, and then we'll call this done, because we're getting close to the end of the time. So on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I like dots, and I like small dots. And sometimes I do dots with a stamp. Let me see if I can find a dot stamp here. Like this is one of my favorite. This happens to be an old Claudine Helmuth stamp. It's a foam stamp, but you could make your very own like this with using kids foam, like fun foam. You could make exactly the same thing. Easy peasy. So I'm going to sparkle this up a little bit with, you pick a brighter color here. So I'm going to use Sweet Mint, which is an acrylic paint by Americana. I'm not going to forget. I'm not going to forget. I'm just torturing you a little bit. Just torturing you a little bit. Okay, so we're going to use a little bit of Sweet Mint. And let's see what this looks like. If this looks good, we're good to go. If it doesn't look good, yeah, that's good. That's fine. So again, applying the paint with a sponge. Yep, Ink of Gold, it's coming. It's coming. I'm just torturing you. I'm just making you wait for it. Haven't you ever heard the old saying? Wait for it. Wait for it. Haven't you ever heard that? Okay, while I'm doing this, you guys tell me what color of Ink of Gold you think I should use on this sheet of paper. That'll keep you guys busy. You bet, anything goes. That's the whole point. Play and have fun. So I'm just using my sponge to apply the paint. Sometimes you can get a second stamping out of it. That's right, Dorothy. Everything comes to those who wait. Who was it that used to say something like, patience, my pretty, patience? Or maybe it was patience, grasshopper. I know where that came from. Oh well, anyway, we're about done here. And then yes, we will get the Ink of Gold out. Purple. Antique silver. I don't have antique silver. Gold, silver, purple. I don't have antique silver. I have silver. We'll get out the colors here in a second. Okay, so we've just about got this part done here. I'm just cleaning off my stamp. This part over here needs a little bit. Okay, good enough. And then when you're working with stamps like this, you really need to take them to the sink and wash them off. Foam stamps. If you're working with a rubber stamp, you must go to the sink and wash them off. Foam stamps, you really should go to the sink and wash them off. I'm going to get the bulk of the paint off with a baby wipe, and then I'll soak it in some Murphy oil soap after a while and get the rest of it off. But paint will harden on your stamps and ruin them. Okay, so let's do some Inca Gold. It probably was the Wicked Witch. It probably was. I don't know. I have purple. And I have a turquoise. So maybe we'll use both of these, huh? Okay, now how do we want to put these on? That's the next question. So this color is turquoise. Let's see. Maybe what we'll do is go back to, let me grab another stencil here real quick. Okay, this stencil is, this is from Home Decor Stencils. This was something I got for $1.99 someplace, so, you know, the chances of that ever being available at this point are slim to none. So, just any kind of stencil is what I'm going to use here. And let me get the wet paint out of the way. That would be a really good idea. Okay, so do you see this up here? See that? That's Inca Gold. Now, I'm going to just do a little bit of that here and there. You can use Inca Gold lots of different ways. You can even use it with a stencil brush. You can use it with a foam, like one of those foam sponges I've been using. You can thin it down. You can do it all different kinds of ways. This is just one way to use it. So I'm just using it through the stencil. And what it's going to do, let me see if I can show it to you here. Okay, there we go. You see it right here in the corner? It's actually got a little bit of texture. But you see how very, very shiny it is? Once it's dry, I can come back with a soft cloth, like a soft paper towel, and actually rub over the top of that, and that will bring that shine up, and it will be very, very sparkly. Okay, so let's put some more on here. I'm not trying to get any specific pattern. I'm not trying to get it any specific place. I'm just using the stencil as a way to put a little bit of it down on the surface. So we'll just sprinkle a little bit of the turquoise around here and there. And then we'll come back with a little bit of the purple. and maybe we'll just go crazy and just swipe it on with our fingers instead of using a stencil. Yeah, we'll go crazy, people. So the area you put it in, if there is contrast, you're going to get to see it more. That would stand to reason, correct? So if you put this highly reflective stuff over the areas that are kind of dark, you're going to see it a lot more. If you put it over areas that are pretty light, you're going to see it, but it's not going to be quite as obvious as over the dark areas. Okay, like I said, once that dries, gets really dry, then I can come back with a paper towel and I can buff it with, you buff it really hard and it makes that shine just super shiny. Okay, so I'm taking the turquoise off my finger, putting the baby wipe, and I check these periodically and make sure that the baby wipe is good and wet. If it's not, and the reason you use a baby wipe is because it has antibacterial components in it. That's why you use baby wipe. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Okay, here's one. This is one that is very, very dried up. Okay, so my baby wipe is completely dry. So we're going to toss that. And you really want to use distilled water in the containers. I just use my finger. You should not do this. Don't do as I'm doing. And now I'm just going to use it as a paint. Can the ink of gold be dried with a heat tool? If that's what you're asking, yes. It really doesn't take very long for it to dry. So I'm just kind of randomly going around with, and see, I'm coming over some of it that was right there. That was the turquoise, and it's already dry. But much better to use anytime you want to put water in something that is going to sit, you really want to use distilled water. That will help you keep from growing, becoming a science experiment, as it were. Okay, so do you see the reflection of the light on the purple? I'll show you more close up here in a second. Let me put a fresh baby wipe in my purple here. And the juicier the baby wipe, the better. And this color is violet. So I just fold it up like that. I add a little squirts of water in it. So I just put some water in it. Stuff the baby wipe in the container like so and cap it. That's what I do with them. I've had these things for years and I've not had to throw any of them out. I know a lot of people throw them out. I have not had to do that. I think they're too expensive to throw out. That's me. Okay, so let me show these to you up close. So let's see if we can catch the purple ink of gold. Okay, right here you'll see the turquoise, and there's some of the violet also. Here's some of the violet. All right, now I'm going to play with the light. You can see the light beginning to shimmer and shine off of that turquoise and purple right there by me moving it around. See how it shines in the light? And that's without even being buffed. Yeah. All right, so this is dry enough. Let me get a dry paper towel. I don't know that you're going to actually see the difference, but you know, I'll show you the action anyway. So you just take the paper towel over the section where you have the Inca Gold and just buff it. And you're going to get a little bit of it on the paper towel, but not much. And it's amazing what that little bit of buffing will do to bring that shine up from the Inca Gold. So it dries very quickly, especially thin applications of it. And actually, if you buff your acrylic paints like this, it puts a really nice finish on your acrylic paints also. But of course, everything has to be good and dry before you can do that. And you can see I'm getting a little bit, but really not very much. And you could do this with a rag also. It doesn't have to be there's nothing magic about a paper towel. That just happens to be what I had. Okay, so there it is, and I don't know that you're going to be able to tell any difference in that on the camera, but it does make a big difference. Okay, the last thing that I do on these is I get out my Fineline bottles. Yeah, the acrylic paint really helps. It just, if you buff the acrylic paint, it's amazing what a beautiful finish that gives to the paper. Amazing. The last thing I do, and I'll do a little bit of this, I'm going to do it in white so that you can see it. I would typically do it in both black and white. I use the Fineline bottles with, these have airbrush paint in them. There's nothing magic about the airbrush paint. This happens to be airbrush paint from the craft store. So it's nothing I ordered, nothing fancy. And then I start in the corner, and then I just start doodling using the Fineline bottle. So, for example, let's see. Maybe we'll just do, we got to do it someplace where you can see it. Maybe trying to think, maybe black would be better. Let me go with the black. I think the black could be better. See? Get myself all discombobulated. Don't think, just do. Don't think, just do. Get your Fineline bottle working. This is black. Okay, here we go. And I just doodle. I don't care how meticulous this is. I just start picking up patterns and designs. Now, you want to be sure this is the last thing you do, because this is going to take a while for this to dry. So you either have to be done at this point, or you have to let this sit for a while, okay? But this is where you end up getting, or I end up getting, some of those detail things coming through. And I particularly like this. I don't care that it's perfect at all. Would a Posca pen work? Yes. You're just not going to get the... this gives you a little bit of texture because it's a little bit of a raised line. That's all. But yeah, you could do that. Anything that you like to make marks, you know, as a finishing kind of thing, is going to work fine. I just would not use a Sharpie. Sharpie markers tend to just clog right up. But can you see how that all of a sudden brings some of those patterns, you know, like pops them up? But the black is definitely the better choice for this. So you can see I'm not being careful. The first time I did this and I was, you know, really scribbly with these marks, I'm like, holy mackerel, I've ruined the whole thing. But when you cut it up, it's like, oh, it's magic. You know, and the fine line tip will catch against some of the texture below, and it skips and sputters and carries on, and I love when that happens. And you can even give it a final thing of splatters, you know, thin your paint down and splatter. When you do that, be sure you go outside or protect everything, because splatters and splots are notorious for going on computer screens and every place you don't want them to go. Did you see? Hopefully you can see kind of how it works together. And then you can always tie things together by come back with these, you know, these little doodle things. And then you can come back with white. You know, if you want to do some things with white, you can do that as well. But in the end, if you were here from the very beginning, you can see every single layer that we incorporated into this, from the lines, which are these strong lines that you see, that was done in the very beginning, coming up through the sprays, the acrylic paints, the stenciling, the stamping with the plastic canvas, the stamping with Seth Apter stamps, with the foam stamps, stenciling, going through the Inca Gold with the stencil. If you are one who likes things to be very exact, you can take your time doing this step. I'm going like the wind because I'm trying to get done for you guys. And I probably will come back and add a little bit of detail stuff with white. I'm not sure. We'll just see. I do try to make them different. When I'm doing papers like this, I do try to make them different from each other. And if I don't watch out, I'll get to a certain point and I'll go, oh yeah, that one needs this and that one needs that, and so does that one and so does that one. And the next thing you know, you're making them all alike again. So you do have to kind of make yourself not, sometimes you have to stop yourself. Let's just be honest. You have to stop yourself. You have to say, stop, don't do that. You've done enough. So I'm only using the stencil that I put down there as kind of a suggestion of where to put lines. I'm just adding, you know, adding some little fine line stuff. And you could also thin down some of the Inca Gold, and you could spray that or splatter that. But again, I would do that outside because splatters do have a mind of their own. Okay, so you kind of get the idea. What I'm going to use, my favorite size of cards for these is 3 inches by 4 inches, but they can be anything you want. Absolutely any size you want. Okay, I'm going to try not to get my hand in this as we take one final look at the sheet. Give you a wider look. Okay, let's start in the upper left-hand corner as soon as I figure out where it is. There it is. Okay. You see how it's just scribbly? So that's the whole top of the sheet. So we're going to come down the side. So you can still see the words peeking through. So we're coming down the whole side. You can see how big this is, right? So we're almost at the bottom. There's the bottom of the sheet. So we're going to go all the way across. You can see the Inca Gold kind of reflecting in the light. But those of you that were here from the very beginning can see all the little bits and pieces and layers that you watched me do still coming through. And that's one of the things I love about this process. Okay, so now what you have to do is when you've got that inky, those inky black lines and stuff, you got to put it someplace where the sponsors don't step in it till it dries. It doesn't take too long, but yes, they have been known to ruin a thing or two, I'll tell you. Okay, so get your questions ready if you have any. One final questions. Let me get myself back together here so I've got a space for you know who, because they love to come out and see everybody. So we got to get the sponsor cam ready for them. You are welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, let me get the kitty boys. Hello, Chance. Hello. Hello. You coming? Yeah, there's not much room. Charlie has his route when he's getting off his place where he lays in the window. He has a route that he goes across the sewing table. He comes down on the cutting table, and then he goes through this whole route to get down. Heaven forbid he would just jump on the floor, you know, jump from the table to the floor. Okay, I'm getting a spot for you. I am. I'm getting a spot made for you. Anyway, I have a whole bunch of stuff on the table in there, so it ruined his plan, I'll tell you. Okay. Oh, good gracious. Can you quit talking about it for a minute? You think I was going to forget you? I wouldn't forget you. No way, man. Okay. Whew, Charlie was afraid he was going to get left out. Do you hear all that racket? Sorry, you have to look at my computer. Let's turn this down a little bit. Maybe you don't have to do that. He's a mess. So you enjoyed it? Good. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Was there anything I needed to tell you? Yeah. Sponsors are here. Sponsors are here. Let me tell you. I don't think there's anything else I have to tell you. I'm not sure what we're doing next week, but come back and find out. How do I finish? Oh, that's a good question, Mare. I usually just take some acrylic paint, some thin acrylic paint, and I'll paint the back of, whoops, here. I'll paint, they're going to rub their heads on them. I'll paint the back of the paper with just a wash of acrylic paint. See, so I just wash them with acrylic paint. That's what I do. You honestly could do anything you want. You could collage on the back. If you want to make the paper even thicker, you could collage the entire thing. I mean, it truly is whatever you like to do. That just happens to be what I did with them. And then I inked around the edges. Yeah. And what I cut the paper with, I just cut the paper. I use a quilting ruler and a rotary cutter because the sheets are so big. So that's when I cut big sheets of paper, I always use a rotary cutter. When do you get to see Muppet? You know what? That dog is lazy. That dog has her own couch downstairs in the house. And yeah, she's down there. I can tell you, she's down there asleep, stretched out on that couch, snoozing away. So someday I'll get her in here so you can see her too. The size cards I make, I usually do 3x4, but you could do, again, it's truly up to whatever you enjoy doing. And how big is the paper that you have? You know, what size will the paper allow you to make? How many cards can you get out? How big do you want your cards? I mean, it's just all so subjective, just truly whatever you want. It's the sky is the limit. I'm just giving you just an idea of, you are slobbering on me. Look, quit slobbering on me. This is one of his favorite things to do, by the way, just so you can see if you can see. Look, can you imagine a cat likes that? And then he will put his head back in my hands. Yeah, and he wants more of it. Look. See? Go figure. They're such weird cats. They're such weird cats. Okay. All right. So I think that was it. All right. Thank you very much for being here, everyone. Yes, those of you that are here, VIPs, the VIP class is rescheduled for tomorrow. Check your email because you'll have a link there. The rest of you, I would love to have you come over and check out HowToGetCreative.com. We are a membership website. We have lots of classes there of all different kinds. We'd love to have you join us. So thank you for watching. Thank you for everybody for being here. Any of you who are watching the recording, thank you so much for spending your time here. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate each and every one of you. And even though some of you were ornery to me today, just kidding. I'll continue to send you a big bundle of love tomorrow morning. All right. I'll see you guys later. Remember to get creative today because you know it's easy. And I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.